The late afternoon sun cast long shadows through the revolving doors of the Grand Plaza Hotel as Maya Sanders dragged her small-wheeled suitcase across the polished marble floor. Her shoulders ached from the weight of her backpack, stuffed with notes and her laptop for tomorrow's presentation. After a 6-hour flight with 2 delays and a taxi driver who took the longest route possible from the airport, all she wanted was a hot shower and a soft bed. The Grand Plaza stood like a gleaming tower in the heart of downtown, its crystal chandeliers and gold-trimmed furniture screaming luxury from every corner. Business people in crisp suits moved confidently through the lobby, while uniformed staff rushed about with practiced efficiency. Maya ran a hand through her messy brown hair, suddenly aware of her wrinkled travel clothes and the coffee stain on her sleeve from when turbulence had struck mid-flight. "Just get me to my room," she whispered to herself, joining the short line at the reception desk. The man ahead of her finished checking in, receiving a warm smile and a "Welcome back, Mr. Thompson" from the receptionist, a slim man with perfectly combed hair whose name tag read, Bradley Wilson, front desk manager. When Maya stepped forward, Bradley's smile dimmed just slightly. His eyes flicked from her worn sneakers to her college sweatshirt before settling on her face with a professionally neutral expression. "Good evening and welcome to the Grand Plaza. How may I assist you today?" His tone was polite but noticeably cooler than it had been moments before. "Hi, I have a reservation for 5 nights. Name's Maya Sanders." She fumbled for her phone to pull up the confirmation email she'd received 3 weeks ago. Bradley's fingers tapped at his keyboard, his brow furrowing slightly. Sanders. I'm not seeing anything under that name for tonight. That's weird. I booked it weeks ago. Here's my confirmation." Maya held out her phone, displaying the email that clearly showed her reservation details. Bradley barely glanced at it before returning to his computer. "Let me check something else." More typing followed. I see the issue. It seems your reservation was marked as payment pending and was automatically released back into our inventory this morning." "What? That can't be right. The payment went through. It's already charged to my card." Maya pulled up her banking app, showing the substantial charge from the Grand Plaza that had cleared days ago. Bradley shrugged with practiced sympathy that didn't reach his eyes. "Our system shows the payment attempt failed verification. Unfortunately, we're completely booked tonight due to the conference and several corporate events." The exhaustion of the day suddenly felt heavier. "Look, I'm here for the environmental summit. I'm presenting tomorrow. I need this room." A couple behind her in line sighed loudly, making a show of checking their watches. Bradley straightened his already perfect tie, clearly eager to move on. "Perhaps there was a glitch in our system, but the fact remains we don't have any available rooms." His voice had an edge to it now. "I can recommend several other hotels in the area that might have availability." Maya felt her cheeks flush with frustration. "Can I speak to your manager, please? There has to be something you can do." Bradley's professional mask slipped just enough to reveal annoyance. "I am the manager on duty. I understand this is inconvenient, but there's nothing I can do about a fully booked hotel." People were staring now. A security guard near the elevator had noticed the conversation and was slowly moving closer. Maya lowered her voice, trying to stay calm. "Can you at least check again? Maybe look for cancellations or no-shows? I really need to stay here. The conference is in this hotel and all my meetings are scheduled here." "Miss Sanders, I've already explained the situation. Perhaps if you had confirmed your payment went through earlier, we could have sorted this out." Bradley's tone suggested this was clearly her fault. "Now, if you'll excuse me, there are other guests waiting. But my payment did go through. Look at my bank statement." Maya didn't realize she'd raised her voice until she saw the security guard approaching. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a face that seemed incapable of smiling. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, directing the question at Bradley rather than Maya. "No problem, Tom. Miss Sanders was just leaving. We're unable to accommodate her tonight." Bradley's smile returned, but it was all teeth and no warmth. The security guard, Tom, turned to Maya. "Ma'am, if you could please step aside so other guests can be helped." Maya looked between them, disbelief mixing with exhaustion and frustration. Several guests were openly watching now, some with curiosity, others with impatience. A woman in an expensive-looking suit whispered something to her companion, both of them smirking. "This is ridiculous," Maya said, her voice shaking slightly. "I have a confirmed reservation I paid. I'm supposed to present at the summit tomorrow morning. "Ma'am, please don't make this difficult," Tom said, his hand hovering near her elbow without touching her. "There are plenty of other hotels nearby." The humiliation burned worse than the anger. Maya glanced around the lobby, hoping to see a sympathetic face, but found only awkward stares or people deliberately looking away. A group of business executives watched from the bar area, cocktails in hand, treating the scene like free entertainment. "Fine. Whatever." Maya grabbed her suitcase handle with more force than necessary. "But I want a full refund for the charge that supposedly didn't go through." Bradley nodded stiffly. "Of course. The pending authorization should drop off your card within 3 to 5 business days." "Days? I need that money now to book somewhere else," Maya protested. "That's standard banking procedure, Miss Sanders. It's out of our hands." Bradley was already looking past her to the next guests in line, a well-dressed couple who watched the exchange with barely concealed disdain. Tom, the security guard, moved slightly closer. "Ma'am, there's a Holiday Inn about 6 blocks south that usually has availability." Maya realized this battle was lost. With as much dignity as she could muster, she pulled her suitcase away from the desk. "You'll be hearing about this," she said, the words sounding hollow even to her own ears. Bradley's expression didn't change. "Have a pleasant evening, Miss Sanders." The walk across the lobby felt endless. Maya could feel eyes following her, the staff, the guests, everyone seemed to be watching her forced exit. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, probably her mother checking if she'd arrived safely. Not now, she thought. She couldn't handle explaining this mess to her mother, of all people. Outside, the early evening air had cooled considerably. Maya stood on the sidewalk, suddenly unsure what to do next. Her presentation materials needed final revisions tonight. She was exhausted. And now she had to find a new hotel in an unfamiliar city during conference season. She pulled out her phone and ignored her mother's text, instead opening a hotel booking app. The closest available room was 15 blocks away and cost nearly twice what she'd budgeted. With a sigh, she reserved it and then ordered a rideshare. While waiting, she glanced back at the gleaming facade of the Grand Plaza. Through the large windows, she could see Bradley already cheerfully checking in the couple who had been behind her. They were laughing at something he said, the woman touching his arm appreciatively as he handed over their room keys. Maya's rideshare pulled up to the curb, and the driver popped the trunk for her suitcase. "Grand Plaza Hotel?" he asked, noting the hotel behind her. "No," Maya said, sliding into the back seat. "They made it very clear I don't belong there." As the car pulled away, she didn't notice the black town car that stopped at the hotel entrance, nor the distinguished woman who emerged from it, straightening her blazer with the city's official pin on the lapel. Mayor Elizabeth Sanders checked her watch and frowned, wondering why her daughter hadn't answered her text about meeting for dinner in the hotel restaurant. Inside the Grand Plaza, Bradley was just finishing with his VIP guests when the hotel director approached, looking uncharacteristically nervous. "Bradley, is the mayor's daughter all checked in? The mayor just arrived for their dinner meeting." Bradley's perfect smile froze on his face. "The mayor's daughter?" "Yes, Maya Sanders. The mayor mentioned her daughter was staying with us for the environmental summit. She's presenting tomorrow." The director straightened his jacket. "The mayor's one of our most important city contacts. Make sure everything is perfect, understood?" As realization dawned on Bradley's face, the blood drained from his cheeks. His fingers flew to his keyboard, frantically searching the records he'd dismissed so easily minutes before. "Oh no," he whispered, as the search confirmed his growing dread. The payment hadn't failed, the system had misclassified it. And the woman he'd just had escorted out by security wasn't just any conference attendee. She was the mayor's daughter. And from the sound of clicking heels approaching the front desk, the mayor herself was about to find out exactly how the Grand Plaza had treated her only child. Bradley Wilson had worked at the Grand Plaza Hotel for 7 years. In that time, he'd handled celebrity meltdowns, corporate disasters, and even a minor kitchen fire without losing his composure. But as Mayor Elizabeth Sanders approached the front desk with a questioning look on her face, he felt sweat beading at his hairline. "Good evening, Mayor Sanders. It's an honor to have you with us tonight," Bradley said, his voice an octave higher than usual. The mayor was a striking woman in her mid-50s with the same dark eyes as her daughter, though her hair was styled in a sleek bob rather than Maya's casual waves. She wore a tailored navy suit with the city pin gleaming on her lapel, and her expression was friendly but direct. "Thank you, Bradley," she said, reading his name tag. "I'm meeting my daughter for dinner. Has Maya checked in yet?" "She isn't answering her phone." Bradley's mouth went dry. Behind him, the hotel director hovered nervously, silently urging him to fix whatever had gone wrong. "Mayor Sanders, there seems to have been an unfortunate misunderstanding with your daughter's reservation." Bradley tried to keep his voice steady. "Our system flagged her payment as incomplete, and when she arrived earlier." "Yes?" The mayor's smile faded slightly. Bradley swallowed hard. "We informed her we had no available rooms." The mayor's eyebrows rose. "You turned my daughter away? The night before her presentation to the city council?" "There was a system error where is she now?" The mayor's voice remained level, but the temperature around her seemed to drop several degrees. "We don't know, ma'am. She left about 20 minutes ago." The hotel director stepped forward. "Mayor Sanders, I'm Joseph Campbell, the hotel director. I want to personally apologize for this terrible misunderstanding. We're trying to reach Mrs. Sanders now." The mayor pulled out her phone, her fingers moving quickly. "I'll find my daughter myself. In the meantime, I suggest you look into what went wrong. Maya was representing the city's environmental initiative at your hotel's conference. The city council members are all staying here. The press will be here tomorrow." She didn't need to elaborate on the implications. Joseph nodded frantically. "Of course, Mayor. We'll get to the bottom of this immediately." "See that you do." With one last cold look at Bradley, the mayor turned and walked toward the exit. Phone pressed to her ear. Joseph waited until she was out of earshot before turning to Bradley. "My office now." The taxi dropped Maya at a modest chain hotel 15 blocks from the Grand Plaza. It wasn't terrible, but it certainly lacked the convenient location and amenities she'd been counting on. Her room was small but clean, with a bed, desk, and bathroom. Nothing like the luxury accommodations she'd originally booked, but it would have to do. She ignored 3 calls from her mother while unpacking. She wasn't ready to explain what had happened, not until she'd calmed down and could discuss it without getting upset all over again. Instead, she spread her presentation materials across the small desk and tried to focus. The environmental summit was her chance to showcase the sustainability initiative she'd spent months developing. As an environmental consultant, this was her biggest opportunity yet, presenting to the city council a comprehensive plan that could transform how the city handled everything from waste management to energy consumption. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a text from her mother. "Maya, where are you?" "I'm at the Grand Plaza. Call me immediately." With a sigh, Maya picked up the phone and dialed. "Mom, hi, Maya, what happened?" "The hotel staff is falling over themselves, apologizing for some mix-up with your reservation." "Where are you staying?" Maya blinked in surprise. "Wait, they told you about that?" "I went to meet you for dinner as planned. The front desk manager looked like he might faint when I asked for you." Her mother's voice was sharp with concern and irritation. "They said they turned you away due to a system error?" "Yeah, they were pretty rude about it too." Maya sank onto the bed. "Said my payment didn't go through even though it definitely did. The manager practically had security escort me out." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Mom, I'm here. I'm just—" Her mother's voice had that dangerous calm that Maya recognized from childhood, the tone that preceded someone being professionally destroyed. "The Summit Hotel conference is being hosted at the Grand Plaza. City money paid for it. Half the council is staying there. And they turned away the person presenting tomorrow's keynote on city sustainability." "Well, when you put it that way, it does sound pretty bad," Maya said, feeling a hint of satisfaction. "Where are you now?" "I'll come get you. I'm at the Parkway Inn on 18th Street. But Mom, it's fine. I've already unpacked. The room's paid for." "It is absolutely not fine." The sound of her mother's heels clicking on marble came through the phone. "The hotel director is calling an emergency meeting with his staff. Stay where you are." "I'll be there in 20 minutes." Back at the Grand Plaza, Joseph Campbell's office had become the site of barely controlled panic. Bradley sat rigid in a chair while the hotel director paced behind his desk. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," Joseph said, rubbing his temples. "You not only turned away the daughter of the most powerful person in the city, but you did so rudely enough that she left feeling humiliated?" "The system showed her payment had failed," Bradley repeated weakly, "and she was dressed very casually, not like our usual guests." Joseph stopped pacing to stare at him. "So you judged her by her appearance and didn't bother to verify if the system was correct?" I checked twice, not well enough. Joseph slammed his hand on the desk. Do you have any idea what this could cost us? The city hosts dozens of events here every year. The mayor personally recommends us to visiting officials. The environmental summit alone brought in over 100 guests. The phone on Joseph's desk rang. He snatched it up, listened for a moment, then put it on speaker. Mr. Campbell, this is Darren from the front desk. The summit organizer is asking about tomorrow's keynote speaker. Apparently, Ms. Sanders was supposed to check in today for an early breakfast meeting with the planning committee. They've been trying to reach her. Joseph closed his eyes briefly. Tell them we're handling a small logistical issue and we'll update them shortly. After hanging up, he turned to Bradley. This isn't just about one guest anymore. This is about our reputation with the entire city government. Bradley loosened his tie slightly. What do we do? First, we figure out exactly what went wrong with our system. I want to know why her payment was flagged when it clearly went through. Joseph picked up his phone again. Liz, get me someone from IT immediately. As if the situation couldn't get worse, Joseph's email notification chimed. He glanced at his computer screen and groaned. The mayor just forwarded me an email. Ms. Sanders apparently sent a detailed complaint about her treatment here to the entire Environmental Summit Committee. She specifically named you Bradley. Bradley paled. She did? Joseph read from the screen. The staff profile at the Grand Plaza Hotel appears not to value environmental professionals who don't conform to their expected appearance standards. This raises serious questions about their commitment to the sustainability initiatives being discussed at the summit. She's making it sound like we discriminated against her, Bradley protested. From what you've told me, that's exactly what happened, Joseph snapped. She had a valid reservation that our system somehow mishandled, and instead of helping her, you had security walk her out. The door opened, and a nervous IT specialist entered. You wanted to see me, sir? Frank, I need you to tell me exactly what happened with a reservation for Maya Sanders. Frank typed rapidly on his tablet. Sanders? I see the issue. The payment processor flagged it because the billing address and the credit card verification didn't match perfectly. There was an apartment number in one, but not the other. The system should have held the reservation and flagged it for manual verification, not release the room. So her payment was actually fine? Joseph asked. Completely fine. It's a known bug in the latest system update. We've had 3 similar incidents this month, but the front desk usually catches them. Frank glanced at Bradley. Joseph took a deep breath. Frank, I need you to find Miss Sanders a room. I don't care if you have to upgrade someone else and move them. Find her a room. Yes, sir. Frank hurried out. Joseph turned back to Bradley. The mayor is picking up her daughter. With luck, we can get them back here tonight and start damage control. Should I prepare an apology? Bradley asked. You'll do more than apologize. The entire staff will be receiving additional training on verification procedures and customer service. Joseph's phone buzzed with a text. He looked at it and his expression grew even more grim. What now? Bradley asked. Joseph turned the phone so Bradley could see the screen. It was a social media post already gaining traction. Kicked out of the Grand Plaza. Hotel even with confirmation and payment because I didn't look right. Guess environmental scientists don't meet their dress code. Good luck with that green initiative they're promoting this week. Hotel discrimination, fake sustainability. The post already had over 100 shares and was climbing quickly. Several comments tagged the city's official accounts and the Environmental Summit hashtag. She's an influencer? Bradley whispered, horrified. No, Joseph said, scrolling through the growing list of replies. But the mayor is, and she just retweeted her daughter's post with her own comment. He showed Bradley the mayor's response. As mayor, I'm deeply concerned about this treatment of a summit speaker. As a mother, I'm furious. The Grand Plaza has some explaining to do. City accountability. Bradley slumped in his chair. I'm fired, aren't I? Joseph didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled up the hotel's calendar on his computer. The city has 3 major events scheduled here next month, including the annual police department gala. The tourism board meeting is here next week. The international trade delegation arrives on Friday. He looked up at Bradley with weary eyes. Your job is the least of our concerns right now. We need to fix this before it costs this hotel its reputation and its relationship with our most important client, the city itself. The phone rang again. Joseph answered, listened, then hung up. The mayor and her daughter have arrived in the lobby. he said, straightening his tie. Let's go see if we can salvage something from this disaster. As they headed for the door, Joseph added quietly, "And Bradley? Let me do the talking." The Grand Plaza lobby fell silent as Mayor Elizabeth Sanders walked through the main entrance with Maya, following a few steps behind. Maya had insisted on changing clothes before returning, partly out of stubbornness and partly because she wanted to make a point. Now dressed in a simple but professional blazer over a blouse and slacks, she looked every bit the environmental consultant who would be addressing the city council tomorrow. Joseph Campbell rushed forward to greet them. His practiced smile strained at the edges. Bradley trailed behind him like a man heading to his own execution. "Mayor Sanders, Ms. Sanders, thank you so much for returning." Joseph extended his hand, which the mayor shook briefly. "I can't express how deeply sorry we are for this unfortunate incident." Maya noticed several staff members watching from behind counters and doorways. A few guests were openly staring, some typing on their phones. "Word had clearly spread, Mr. Campbell," the mayor acknowledged coolly. "I believe we have some matters to discuss." "Of course." Joseph gestured toward a discreet door near the lobby. "We've prepared our executive meeting room for privacy." Maya caught Bradley's eye as they walked. The front desk manager quickly looked away, his face flushed with embarrassment. Part of her enjoyed his discomfort, but another part, the part that had spent years working on conflict resolution for environmental disputes, recognized the signs of someone caught in a system bigger than themselves. The executive meeting room was elegant but not flashy, with a polished wooden table and comfortable chairs. A selection of drinks and small pastries had been arranged, untouched in the center. "Please have a seat," Joseph said, pulling out chairs for both women. Maya's mother sat down with the easy confidence of someone used to commanding rooms. Maya took the chair beside her, setting down her backpack containing her presentation materials. Joseph settled across from them, while Bradley hovered uncertainly by the door. "Bradley, join us please," Joseph said firmly. The front desk manager reluctantly took a seat, keeping his eyes on the table. "First," Joseph began, "I want to personally apologize for the inexcusable way Ms. Sanders was treated earlier today. There was a technical error with our reservation system that should have been handled completely differently. A technical error. Doesn't explain having security escort my daughter out," the mayor pointed out. Joseph nodded. "You're absolutely right. That was a human error in judgment, and there's no excuse for it." Maya leaned forward. "I showed your staff my booking confirmation and bank statement proving the payment went through. I was still treated like I was trying to scam my way into a room." Bradley finally looked up. "Ms. Sanders, I made a terrible mistake. When the system showed your reservation as pending payment, I should have investigated further instead of assuming the system was correct." "And?" Joseph prompted when Bradley fell silent. Bradley swallowed hard. "And I allowed other factors to influence my judgment. Your casual appearance after traveling. I made assumptions I shouldn't have made." Maya raised an eyebrow. "You judged me by how I was dressed." "Yes," Bradley admitted quietly. "And that was wrong." The mayor tapped her fingers on the table. "My daughter is presenting to the city council tomorrow about environmental initiatives that could reshape how this entire city, including this hotel, operates for decades to come. She spent months researching, meeting with community groups, and developing practical solutions for our city's most pressing environmental challenges. And I kicked her out because she was wearing a sweatshirt and sneakers after a 6-hour flight." Bradley summarized bluntly. Despite herself, Maya felt a flicker of respect for his directness. Joseph cleared his throat. "We've arranged a suite for you, Ms. Sanders, our finest accommodation. Of course, there will be no charge for your entire stay. We've also taken the liberty of sending a courier to retrieve your belongings from the other hotel." "That's not necessary," Maya began, but her mother cut her off. "It absolutely is necessary," Elizabeth said. "You need to be well rested for tomorrow, and the summit venue is here. It makes no sense for you to stay 15 blocks away." Joseph nodded eagerly. "We've also arranged for a complimentary breakfast to be served in your suite tomorrow morning. And our staff will be at your disposal for any presentation needs. Printing, technical support, whatever you require." "That's very generous," Maya said. "But it doesn't address the bigger issue." All eyes turned to her. What happened to me today wasn't just about a system error or one staff member's poor judgment. It speaks to a culture that values appearance over substance. Maya gestured around the elegant room. The irony is that I'm here to present on sustainability initiatives, including ways hotels like this can reduce waste and energy consumption while improving their bottom line. Yet the first thing that happened was I got judged as not belonging here because I didn't fit a certain image. Joseph's smile faltered. Miss Sanders, I assure you the Grand Plaza values diversity and actions speak louder than words, Mr. Campbell. Maya's voice was calm but firm. Tomorrow I'm presenting a comprehensive environmental plan that includes recognizing businesses that commit to meaningful change. The Grand Plaza was on my list of potential early adopters because of your public commitment to sustainability. The implication hung in the air. Bradley looked stricken, while Joseph's professional demeanor cracked just enough to show genuine alarm. What can we do to make this right? Joseph asked. Maya exchanged a look with her mother, who gave a slight nod of approval. First, I'll accept the suite for convenience's sake. The summit is here and I need to focus on my presentation. Maya ticked off points on her fingers. Second, I want a written explanation of exactly what went wrong with your system and what steps you're taking to prevent it from happening again. Joseph nodded. Of course. Third, Maya continued, I want a commitment from the Grand Plaza to participate in the first phase of the city's new environmental initiative, not just with token gestures, but with substantive changes. What would that entail? Joseph asked cautiously. An environmental audit for starters, committing to specific reduction targets for energy use, water consumption, and waste, implementing the recommended changes within a reasonable time frame. Maya reached into her backpack and pulled out a folder. I happen to have the preliminary guidelines with me. Joseph accepted the folder with a weak smile. We'll certainly review these with great interest. One last thing, Maya said, glancing at Bradley. I don't want anyone losing their job over this. Bradley's head snapped up in surprise. The easy thing would be to fire the person who made the mistake and pretend that solves the problem. It doesn't. It just creates fear without addressing the underlying issues. Maya met Bradley's eyes directly. Instead, I'd suggest the Grand Plaza invest in better training for all customer-facing staff. Not just about technical systems, but about recognizing and addressing unconscious bias. Joseph looked like he wanted to object, but thought better of it. That's very generous of you, Miss Sanders. The mayor smiled slightly. My daughter has always believed in systemic solutions rather than scapegoating individuals. It's why her environmental proposals focus on creating better systems rather than simply punishing polluters. A knock at the door interrupted them. Frank from IT poked his head in. Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Campbell, there's something you should see. He held out a tablet. Joseph took it, his expression growing increasingly alarmed as he scrolled through whatever was on the screen. This isn't concerning. What is it? The mayor asked. Joseph passed her the tablet. Your daughter's social media post about her experience has gone viral. Several environmental groups have picked it up, and now there's a hashtag trending locally. Grand Plaza greenwashing. Oh no, Bradley whispered. It gets worse, Frank added. 3 conference attendees have already canceled their reservations in solidarity, and the summit organizer called asking if they should be looking for an alternate venue for next year. Maya winced. She hadn't expected her frustrated post to spread so quickly. I didn't intend to start a boycott. No, but you touched a nerve, her mother said, returning the tablet. People are sensitive to businesses that claim to be environmentally conscious while their actions suggest otherwise. Joseph looked like he had aged 10 years in the last few minutes. Ms. Sanders, what can we do to address this? The damage to our reputation could be severe. Maya thought for a moment. Authenticity is your only option. Acknowledge what happened, explain the steps you're taking to fix both the technical problem and the training issues, and make a genuine commitment to the environmental initiatives I mentioned. A public statement? Joseph asked. Yes, but backed by real action. Maya pointed to the folder she'd given him. Those guidelines aren't just for show. If the Grand Plaza genuinely commits to implementing them, I'll happily acknowledge that positive step. Bradley, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. What if I personally oversaw the implementation of the environmental initiatives? As part of making amends? Everyone looked at him in surprise. I have a background in operations management, he explained. Before becoming front desk manager, I handled efficiency improvements across several departments. Many of those same principles apply to reducing waste and energy consumption. Maya studied him. trying to determine if this was a genuine offer or just an attempt to save face. "That would be a significant commitment," she said carefully. "I know." Bradley met her gaze steadily. "But it would ensure that what happened today leads to meaningful change, not just damage control." Joseph looked between them, clearly calculating the potential benefits. "We could announce it as part of our response to the situation. Show that we're turning an unfortunate incident into an opportunity for positive transformation." The mayor nodded approvingly. "That's the kind of substantive response people respect. Empty apologies are forgotten. Real commitments are remembered." "All right," Maya said. "If you're serious about this, I'm willing to work with you." "I'll have our PR team draft a statement immediately," Joseph said, some of his confidence returning. "With your approval, of course, Ms. Sanders." As the meeting continued, with details being discussed and plans taking shape, Maya felt a strange mix of emotions. What had started as a humiliating experience was transforming into something unexpected. A chance to implement the very changes she'd been advocating for, with the full attention of one of the city's most prominent businesses. Her mother leaned over and whispered, "Not exactly how I expected your presentation to begin. But you've already got them implementing your proposals before you've even officially presented them." Maya smiled slightly. "Sometimes the most effective environmental advocacy happens outside the conference room." Outside, the hashtag continued to spread, as the Grand Plaza scrambled to transform a PR disaster into an opportunity for genuine change. Morning. Light streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Grand Plaza's presidential suite as Maya reviewed her presentation notes one last time. The contrast between her current surroundings and yesterday's humiliation wasn't lost on her. Less than 24 hours ago, she'd been dragging her suitcase across the lobby while security watched. Now she was enjoying fresh coffee from fine china in a suite bigger than her apartment back home. A gentle knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Room service," called a cheerful voice. Maya opened the door to find a young woman with a breakfast cart laden with fresh fruit, pastries, and a silver carafe of coffee. Behind her stood Bradley Wilson, looking significantly less comfortable, holding a tablet and a thick folder. "Good morning, Miss Sanders," the server said. "Where would you like your breakfast?" "By the window would be perfect, thank you." As the server arranged the breakfast, Bradley hovered awkwardly by the door. His crisp suit couldn't hide the dark circles under his eyes, suggesting he hadn't slept much. Once the server left, Maya gestured to a chair. "You look like you've had a long night, Bradley." He sat down, placing the tablet and folder on the table beside him. "The PR team and I have been working since our meeting yesterday. We wanted to have everything ready before your presentation this morning." Maya poured herself another cup of coffee. "Would you like some?" Bradley looked surprised by the offer. "Yes, thank you." As she handed him the cup, Maya noticed his hands were slightly unsteady. "Nervous about today?" "Wouldn't you be?" He attempted a smile. "The hotel's reputation is hanging in the balance, and it's largely my fault." "Not entirely your fault," Maya corrected, returning to her breakfast. "As I said yesterday, this is about systems, not just individuals." Bradley nodded, some tension leaving his shoulders. "That's actually why I'm here early. I wanted to show you what we've been working on before it goes public." He passed her the tablet, which displayed a draft statement from the Grand Plaza. Maya read it carefully, impressed despite herself. It was remarkably forthright, acknowledging the incident without excuses, outlining specific steps to address both the technical error and the training issues, and making a public commitment to implementing the environmental initiatives from her proposal. "This is actually good," she admitted. "No corporate doublespeak or vague promises." "We took your advice about authenticity." Bradley opened the folder, revealing detailed plans. "And this is the implementation timeline for the environmental initiatives. I've already spoken with department heads across the hotel, and they're on board." Maya flipped through the pages, raising an eyebrow at the ambitious targets. "This is comprehensive. You did all this overnight?" "I didn't sleep," Bradley said simply. It seemed more important to get this right. For the first time, Maya felt a genuine connection with the man who had dismissed her so easily the day before. People were complex, capable of both thoughtless cruelty and meaningful change. The statement mentions you'll be leading the environmental program. Are you sure you want that responsibility? It won't be easy. Bradley met her gaze steadily. I'm sure. Yesterday was eye-opening. Not just the professional consequences, but realizing how quickly I judged someone based on appearances. He hesitated. Your environmental proposals actually make a lot of sense from a business perspective, too. The energy savings alone would offset implementation costs within 18 months. Maya smiled slightly. You really did read the whole thing, cover to cover. Bradley glanced at his watch. I should let you finish preparing. Your presentation starts in an hour, and I know the council members are eager to hear it. As he stood to leave, Maya made a split-second decision. Bradley, would you be willing to join me for the presentation? He froze. Join you? The Grand Plaza is one of the city's largest hotels. Having you there to publicly commit to these initiatives would make a powerful statement. Maya tapped the folder. You clearly understand the proposal. You could speak to the business benefits of implementing these changes. Won't that seem like a publicity stunt after what happened? It might to some. Maya shrugged. But it would also show genuine commitment. Anyone can issue a statement. Showing up in person takes courage. Bradley considered this for a long moment. If you think it would help your initiative, I'll be there. Good. The presentation's at 10 in the main conference room. After Bradley left, Maya returned to her notes with renewed focus. What had begun as a personal humiliation was evolving into something much more significant. If the city's most prestigious hotel publicly committed to her environmental plan, others would follow. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. How are you feeling about today? Maya typed back, better than expected. The hotel's response has been surprisingly thorough. A moment later, her mother replied, The power of accountability. See you at the presentation. The main conference room was packed by 9:45. City council members filled the front row, with environmental advocates, business representatives, and media crowding the remaining seats. Maya spotted her mother speaking quietly with the council president near the podium. The summit organizer, a gray-haired woman named Diane, approached Maya as she set up her presentation. Quite a stir you've caused, Diane said, not unkindly. Half the attendees are talking about your confrontation with the hotel rather than the summit agenda. Maya winced. That wasn't my intention. Sometimes the universe has different plans. Diane glanced around the room. I've been organizing these summits for 15 years, and I've never seen this level of business representation. Usually we get the true believers and a few token corporate faces. Today we have CEOs who wouldn't normally attend. Following Diane's gaze, Maya noticed several people in expensive suits who definitely looked out of place among the environmentalists. They're here because of the social media storm? They're here because your experience touched a nerve. It exposed the gap between public commitments and private actions. Diane patted her arm. Use this moment. It doesn't come often. As Diane walked away, Maya saw Bradley enter at the back of the room. He wore a name badge identifying him as a Grand Plaza representative and carried a small stack of printed materials. Their eyes met briefly and he gave her a nervous nod. At precisely 10 o'clock, the council president approached the podium. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this special session of the Environmental Summit. Today we're honored to hear from Maya Sanders, who has developed a comprehensive sustainability initiative for our city. He smiled at Maya. Given recent events, I believe her presentation has taken on additional significance. A ripple of knowing laughter moved through the crowd. Maya took a deep breath and stepped up to the podium. Thank you. Mr. President, before I begin my formal presentation, I'd like to acknowledge something many of you have already heard about through social media. Maya's voice was calm and measured. Yesterday, I experienced firsthand how even well-intentioned organizations can fall short of their stated values. All eyes turned to her, the room completely silent. I was initially turned away from this very hotel despite having a confirmed reservation. It would be easy to focus on that personal slight, but what matters more is what happened next. Maya gestured toward the back of the room. Mr. Bradley Wilson from the Grand Plaza is here today. Bradley, would you join me? A murmur ran through the audience as Bradley made his way to the front, his face flushed but his stride determined. He stood beside Maya at the podium. The Grand Plaza made a mistake, Maya continued. But rather than hiding behind corporate statements or quick fixes, they've chosen to respond with meaningful action. Mr. Wilson? Bradley cleared his throat, looking out at the sea of faces. Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Yesterday's incident was inexcusable, and I take personal responsibility for my role in it. But as Maya wisely pointed out, focusing solely on individual blame misses the opportunity for systemic change. He held up the folder Maya had seen earlier. The Grand Plaza is publicly committing today to implement the full range of environmental initiatives outlined in Ms. Sanders' proposal. Not as a PR move, but as the right thing to do for our business, our community, and our planet. Several journalists in the audience were frantically taking notes. Maya could practically see the headlines forming. Hotel that snubbed mayor's daughter becomes environmental leader. I'll be personally overseeing this implementation, Bradley continued, his confidence growing, and we invite other businesses to join us in this commitment. We've prepared detailed cost-benefit analyses showing that these initiatives make sense not just environmentally, but economically. He distributed the materials to the council members in the front row. These changes will reduce our carbon footprint by an estimated 30% within 18 months, while actually reducing operating costs. Maya watched with a mixture of surprise and admiration as Bradley fielded questions from council members. He had clearly spent the night becoming an expert on her proposals, and he spoke about them with genuine enthusiasm rather than corporate obligation. When Bradley finished, he returned the podium to Maya with a grateful nod. "Thank you, Bradley." Maya turned to the audience. "What you've just witnessed is the kind of partnership we need. Government, businesses, and environmental advocates working together toward practical solutions." She advanced to her first slide, a striking image of their city skyline. "Now let me show you what's possible when we extend this approach citywide." For the next 45 minutes, Maya presented her vision with passion and precision. She outlined specific initiatives, their costs and benefits, and implementation timelines. Throughout, she returned to a central theme. Meaningful change required authentic commitment, not just public relations. When she concluded, the applause was immediate and sustained. The council president returned to the podium, looking impressed. "Thank you, Ms. Sanders, for that compelling presentation." He turned to Bradley, "And thank you, Mr. Wilson, for demonstrating how businesses can turn challenges into opportunities for leadership." As people gathered around Maya to ask questions and offer congratulations, she caught sight of her mother standing at the back of the room, a proud smile on her face. Beside her stood Joseph Campbell, the hotel director, looking both relieved and genuinely moved by what had transpired. What had begun as a personal humiliation had transformed into something none of them could have predicted, the catalyst for real change, and an unexpected alliance between an environmental consultant and the very hotel that had once turned her away. 6 months later, Maya stood in the rooftop garden of the Grand Plaza Hotel, surrounded by thriving plants and the gentle hum of honeybees visiting newly installed hives. The space that had once been an unused concrete terrace was now a vibrant green oasis in the heart of downtown, complete with solar panels that powered the garden's irrigation system and contributed to the hotel's energy needs. "What do you think?" Bradley asked, joining her at the railing overlooking the city. "It's even better than I imagined," Maya admitted, running her fingers over a fragrant rosemary bush. "How are the chefs liking the fresh herbs?" "They're practically fighting over who gets to come up here first thing in the morning." Bradley smiled, looking more relaxed than she had ever seen him. Gone was the uptight front desk manager who had dismissed her 6 months ago. In his place stood a confident environmental program director whose passion for the initiatives had surprised everyone, including himself. "And the guests?" "They love it. We're offering tours twice daily and they're always full. The garden-to-table meals have become our most requested menu items." Bradley checked his watch. "Speaking of which, the mayor and the council, members should be arriving soon, today, marked the official unveiling of the Grand Plaza's complete environmental transformation, the first major milestone in the citywide sustainability initiative that had begun with Maya's presentation half a year earlier. What had started as an uncomfortable confrontation had evolved into a genuine partnership and eventually, friendship. "I still can't believe how much you've accomplished in 6 months, Maya said, taking in the solar panels, rainwater collection system, and thriving garden. We had good motivation." Bradley's expression turned more serious. "Nothing like public humiliation to light a fire under corporate decision-making." Maya laughed. "At least you can joke about it now." "Barely." He gestured toward the door. "We should head downstairs. Your mother texted that they're 5 minutes away." As they walked through the hotel, Maya noted all the changes that had been implemented since her disastrous first visit. Energy-efficient lighting had replaced the old fixtures. Water-saving devices had been installed in all rooms. Recycling stations stood at convenient intervals. Even the hotel's famous marble floors had been partially replaced with sustainable materials in renovated areas. But the most noticeable difference was in the staff. Everyone from housekeepers to managers had received comprehensive training on both the environmental initiatives and unconscious bias. The results were evident in the diverse clientele now enjoying the lobby's comfortable seating areas, a mix of business people, tourists, and locals that reflected the city's actual population rather than just its wealthiest segment. In the main conference room, hotel staff were putting final touches on the setup for today's press event. A banner across the front read, "Grand Plaza Sustainability Initiative Phase 1 complete." "Nervous?" Maya asked, noticing Bradley adjusting his tie for the third time in as many minutes. "A little," he admitted. 6 months ago, I was the villain in a viral social media story. Today I'm presenting our success to the mayor and city council. Life takes unexpected turns. Maya straightened his slightly crooked name badge. "But you've earned this moment. The changes you've implemented here have exceeded everyone's expectations." Bradley shook his head. "None of this would have happened without you calling us out. Sometimes we need someone to hold up a mirror and show us what we're really like." Before Maya could respond, the doors opened and her mother entered, accompanied by city council members and various environmental advocates. Mayor Elizabeth Sanders spotted them immediately and walked over with a warm smile. "The rooftop garden is stunning," she said, embracing her daughter before shaking Bradley's hand. "Congratulations to you both." "Thank you, Mayor Sanders," Bradley replied. "We're excited to share all the results today." Hotel Director Joseph Campbell approached, looking significantly more relaxed than the last time Maya had seen him. "Everything's ready whenever you are, Bradley." As the room filled with journalists, business leaders, and environmental activists, Maya found herself reflecting on the unexpected journey of the past 6 months. The humiliation of being escorted out of the hotel had transformed into one of the most productive periods of her career. Her environmental initiative had been adopted not just by the Grand Plaza, but by 15 other major businesses in the city, with more joining each month. "Should we begin?" Joseph asked, gesturing toward the podium. Bradley nodded, then turned to Maya. "Would you like to introduce me?" "I think you can handle this one on your own," she said with a smile. "I'll join for the Q&A." As Bradley made his way to the podium, the buzz of conversation faded. He surveyed the packed room, took a deep breath, and began. 6 months ago, I made a mistake that could have ended my career," he said, his voice steady and clear. "I judged someone based on appearances rather than substance, and in doing so, I embodied everything wrong with how we often approach both people and problems." The room was silent, everyone captivated by his candor. Maya Sanders came to this hotel with a valid reservation and was turned away because she didn't fit our narrow idea of what a proper guest should look like. She also happened to be an environmental consultant with revolutionary ideas and the mayor's, daughter. A ripple of laughter moved through the audience, but here's the thing, it shouldn't have mattered who she was. Every person deserves respect and fair treatment, regardless of their appearance or connections. Bradley gestured toward the sustainability displays arranged around the room. What started as an embarrassing incident became the catalyst for the most significant transformation in this hotel's history. He clicked to the first slide, showing before and after images of the hotel's energy usage. "In just 6 months, we've reduced our energy consumption by 27%, our water usage by 32%, and our waste production by 41%. Impressed murmurs spread through the crowd as Bradley continued through the presentation, detailing each initiative and its measurable impact. He spoke with the confidence of someone who truly believed in what he was saying, not someone performing a corporate obligation. "These changes haven't just been good for the environment," he concluded. "They've been good for business. Our operating costs have decreased significantly, while our bookings have increased. It turns out that people want to support businesses that align with their values." Bradley gestured for Maya to join him. She walked to the podium, touched by his transformation from reluctant participant to passionate advocate. None of this would have been possible without Maya's expertise and, Frankly, her willingness to forgive and collaborate rather than simply condemn. Bradley turned to her. I think that's the most important lesson in all of this, that meaningful change comes from working together, even with people who have disappointed you. Maya stepped up to the microphone. What the Grand Plaza has accomplished in 6 months shows what's possible when we move beyond token gestures toward genuine commitment. Every business in our city can make similar changes, and today we're releasing a free toolkit based on the Grand Plaza model to help them do exactly that. The mayor joined them at the podium to officially announce the expanded citywide initiative, with the Grand Plaza serving as the flagship example. As cameras flashed and questions came from reporters, Maya caught sight of Tom, the security guard who had escorted her out 6 months earlier. Now wearing a pin identifying him as a sustainability ambassador, he gave her a sheepish smile and a thumbs up from the back of the room. After the formal presentation, guests mingled around the displays showing the hotel's transformation. Maya found herself surrounded by business owners eager to implement similar changes in their establishments. You've started a movement, her mother said, appearing at her side with a glass of champagne. Not bad for someone who got kicked out of a hotel. Maya laughed. I think we can stop defining me by that now. Oh, I don't know. It makes for a good story. Her mother's eyes twinkled with amusement. The hotel staff who didn't recognize the mayor's daughter and lived to regret it. It was never about being your daughter, Maya pointed out. It was about being judged by appearances rather than substance. I know, her mother said more seriously. And that's why what you've accomplished here matters. You turned a personal slight into systemic change. Across the room, Bradley was deep in conversation with representatives from other hotels, explaining the practical aspects of their sustainability program. He caught Maya's eye and smiled, a genuine smile between colleagues who had moved past their uncomfortable beginning to create something meaningful together. Later, as the event wound down, Maya found herself back on the rooftop garden, watching the sunset paint the city skyline in gold and pink. Bradley joined her, loosening his tie with a sigh of relief. So, he said, leaning against the railing beside her. What's next? Maya looked out at the city, her city, imagining all the changes still to come. Phase 2. We've tackled the easy stuff. Now comes the harder part. Somehow I'm not surprised you already have a Phase 2 planned. Bradley shook his head with a smile. Whatever it is, the Grand Plaza is on board. Even if it means more work and more change? Especially then, he offered his hand. Partners? Maya took it, sealing the unlikely alliance that had begun with confrontation and developed into collaboration. Partners. Below them, the city stretched out in all directions, full of businesses, homes, and people who would benefit from their work. What had started with one woman being judged by her appearance had blossomed into a movement that was changing the face of the entire city, one building at a time. Sometimes, Maya reflected, the worst moments lead to the best opportunities. Being kicked out of the Grand Plaza had been humiliating, but it had created an opening for something far more important than her wounded pride. It had created a chance for real change, and she had seized it with both hands.